So no anxieties with Aaron going to Summit. He's a phenomenal young person already, and so I was excited because the opportunity was a great match for where he is in his faith and where he is in his communication process and being able to share and witness to others. So I felt really excited to send him. He enjoyed being in a community where his already strong faith was so welcome for conversation. One of the things he expressed was, I've always had great confidence in my faith, but being in this community, everyone else was eager and ready to share. So I could be even more open and excited about what's going on with God, with Jesus, with myself as a disciple.
I think the changes that are most noticeable were probably just our ability to talk about our relationship with God and Christ. It's easier to have conversations about prayer and about reading our Bibles and just the different practices of our faith. I don't know, I think a lot of the discussions we've had have been easier because she now has a vocabulary, I think, that we can share on not only her understanding of her faith, but of herself.
Before the summit, we definitely talked about things happening in church, but then afterwards we occasionally brought up subjects that weren't actively being talked about during service. And that's one of the changes.
I'd definitely say you're a deep thinker, and we've always had really, really great conversations. But there were some very specific opportunities at Summit. Aaron took a class with Scott Kisker. I actually attended it one day, and it was wonderful. The subjects that were addressed and that he welcomed from the students were varied. Some of them might be things that people would kind of skirt around right now, but we just dove in and enjoyed that. And I know that Aaron's brought up multiple ideas from that particular class that we've enjoyed talking about since.
I'm able to talk to her more deeply about my faith and how I pray and when I read, and just kind of whatever ideas I have about my faith or about theology itself, I can always talk to her about it, and it's more helpful now than it was before. I can understand it better.
I agree. I think the summit was kind of a really good example of how it takes a village. We've heard that a lot, but it is, because you can raise your children in the church, and they grew up going to vacation Bible school and a church camp in the summer like Camp Horizon or something, but it takes a lot of voices, not just the voice of your mom or dad, to kind of hear how God has worked and continues to work. And so now that she's maturing and growing and really was able to kind of dive in deep at the summit, that's led to some really good conversations and some good understanding. And I too don't feel like I'm at a place anymore where I'm like, no, this is really what we believe, but I want you to believe it for yourself, not just because I tell you this. So I think this is kind of like a first step into her really taking hold of her faith on her own and not just being passed on from her parents.
Yeah, and I think that not only experiencing it from other people, but also having my own individual connection with God, having my own God moment, and being able to understand that was really impactful for me, for my life, for my faith, and for my relationships with others. So it's not just the village, it's also you individually being able to connect with something greater.